friends, welcome to Off My Rocker 2025 edition. If you don't know, this is the second year of my channel. Woo! This is like exactly a year from when I started last year, so very exciting stuff. I am starting the filming of this video at kind of the beginning-ish of January. So as you can see, if you see anything in the background, it is Christmas fallout. You will be seeing this video at the end of January, because as I was thinking about what to do for January, right, I was like, oh, I actually have to come up with other ideas at this point, because I always read the Goodreads winners and then review them, but obviously that takes me a couple months. So that'll probably come out February, March, it's January, right? So I was thinking about, what do I want to do? What do I want to talk about? And, you know, in my little noggin, I start thinking New Year's resolution, getting out of my comfort zone, doing something new. So I, want to do a reading vlog. So this is my first ever reading vlog. And then 2, I was thinking, let's get out of my comfort zone. Let's read books from genres that I don't typically read. And I have 3, I would say 3 major genres that I either stay away from or I don't really read a lot of for one reason or another. So that's what we're gonna do today. But before I get to telling you what those genres are and what I will be reading, I first have a couple things. If you watched my end of the year wrap up, you know that I forgot to introduce myself until about 24 minutes into the video. So again, speaking about New Year's resolutions, I'm going to introduce myself at the beginning of every video. I'm going to do it. I am Nova, and this is Off My Rocker Reading. Anyway, getting into the 3 genres that I am going to be reading. The immediate genre that comes to mind when I think of something that I don't typically read is romance. I'm not a romance girly, and I know that that is like the most popular thing right now for book people, which is, you know, slay. But it's not typically my thing. I have only in the past year branched out to a couple like Emily Henry's and a couple other things because of that. So not typically what I gravitate towards. But in choosing a book for this category, I had the easiest time because I have heard so many people talking about Just for the Summer by Jimenez. And to be honest, I've heard so many people raving about this book, but the premise itself also just does not really intrigue me. So I am curious about how I will feel about this book. I'm wondering if it's going to be a situation where I'm like, this is why I do not read romance, or if it's going to be, see, I need to branch out into more romance because I loved this, right? It's going to be somewhere on the spectrum of that, and I'm curious to see where I'm going to fall. But I will be listening to it. I will do the audiobook, and it will be the first thing that I'm going to read for this video. But before I actually start reading it, I do want to tell you what the other things are going to be so you know what's coming up. After I finish the romance, I'm going to read a self-help book. I don't usually read self-help because I usually tell people that I find that self-help books can generally just be boiled down to a couple paragraphs of information or like a bullet pointed list of information. I've never read a self-help book that I found transformative in any way, just to be perfectly honest. But here we are. I'm trying to see if I can change that. So for this category, I will be honest, I'm cheating a little bit because I'm going to read The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. Why is it cheating? Well, this is one of the Goodreads winners, so I have to read it anyway, which kind of makes it cheating, I feel like, but also it is technically nonfiction, not specifically self-help. However, when I was researching about popular self-help in the past few years, it did come up. I'm gonna go with this. I do feel like I will be more inclined to like it because I'm expecting it to be a little bit more information heavy. So we'll see. It might be a wash because I might have cheated too hard, but we'll see. And then for the last category, and probably the thing that I am most excited about, because it's kind of going back to my roots, okay? I'm connecting with my inner child. I'm connecting with little Nova on this because when I was a child, I was a voracious fantasy reader, okay? I read everything fantasy, fae, fairy tale, folklore, any F word of that nature, it was up my freaking alley when I was a kid, okay? So because of that, because I consumed so much of it as a child, I actually kind of tend to stray away from it in adulthood, and I don't read a lot of fantasy anymore. But I've had the itch a little bit, okay? I've had the itch for just a chunky fantasy book, okay? But the catch for this is I actually cannot decide between 3 different ones that I've had on my TBR for a while and that I want to read. So when it comes time to begin the fantasy book, I actually think that I'm just going to be pulling a name out of a hat, but I will give you my 3 choices so you know what the contenders are. The first one that I'm considering is one that I've had on my TBR for a while and I feel like suits the wintry, snowy vibe because I'm in Northeast Ohio. It is very cold. It is very snowy here right now. So I was thinking about doing The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. Again though, I feel like maybe this is not getting out of my comfort zone enough because this is more like fairy tale and I feel like I'm kind of inclined to like anything of that nature. So I'm considering it, but I'm also realizing maybe it's not the best thing for this video, right? Something I should read, but not for this. My second option is Faebound by Saara El-Arifi. I am so sorry if I said that wrong, which I probably did, but I am very interested in this book. This one is more fae, and I do like that. I remember I checked it out and I like immediately returned it. I think because it was like really long and it was just not what I needed in the moment. So I like didn't even read any of it. I just like returned it. So I am interested in this one. And it might be exactly what I need for this, but I do still want to consider my third option, which is Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I really, really want to read Air, but I know that I have to read Ember in the Ashes first. So I'm like, okay, is it time? Do I dive into this? I just started the Crescent City series though, so I'm like, maybe I should not. But those are my 3 options. We will see. I will I think literally just be pulling something out of a hat. We'll see. We'll see where we end up for that, right? But before we get there, we have to start with the romance. So I am going to start the audiobook for the summer. And at some point, I'll be checking in with you guys. At some point. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I have any thoughts right off the bat or if I get a little ways into it beforehand. Okay. I'm just filming this on my iPhone, so sorry that it is, it is what it is. I'm 50% of the way through. And the emotional roller coaster... Hold on, I'm bringing you a little closer, okay? The emotional roller coaster that I feel like this book is taking me on is really something because I have like moments where I'm really, really annoyed, and then I have moments where I'm like really, really, I love what's going on. So like the main characters are both severely annoying me at different points for different reasons. I know a lot of people like the whole trope with like, oh, the guy likes the girl way more. And I know that that's what's going on here. And if you like that and that appeals to you, I understand that you like this. I am finding it very annoying. Like how much she like doesn't care and how much he cares and like the effort that he's putting in. Also, it just it gives me the ick a little bit, I will not lie. Just like his little like invites and stuff like that, it's not for me, but I respect it. But then her, like, I really, really don't understand how she is able to identify a woman who has memory issues, who's like wandering in the streets, and she's able to identify that like his mom probably has like complex trauma or like was dealing with like postpartum depression, but she does not recognize her own need for therapy. And I understand that that's like the journey that this book is taking us on, and I think that that is great, and that's great for an author to talk about. I think it's really cool. I'm in school for like literally the trauma and the stuff that they're talking about. I'm in school for psychology, especially for kids. So I'm very happy with the direction that she's taking this storyline. I was just very annoyed at the characters in the beginning, especially the girl, for not realizing, right? Like, I don't know. It was just too unbelievable for me. I will say I was laughing out loud at the part with his mom and what's her name? His like aunt, like her best friend when they're drunk. Oh my gosh. I was doing the dishes at my job and I was laughing out loud because it's so funny, and listening to the guy narrate it for the audiobook was so funny. So that's where I'm at. I think I'm literally at like 52%. So I will probably just see you at the end of the book. Unless something like crazy happens and I have some crazy opinion, I will probably see you at the end. So going well. I will say it's like kind of in the middle so far. Like I think it's really gonna depend on how it goes in the end. Oh, you see my doggy. Boomy. Boomy, say hi. Oh my, okay, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, oh thank you, oh my honey, yes, very nice, that's so nice. Okay, it is the next morning only since I filmed that last clip. So you had a treat. I literally listened to the second half of the book in like that rest of that evening and then this morning. Sorry, my doggy just got her nails cut and she just finished her treat and now she's sad. It's crazy how I don't feel like I have one like consistent thought about this book. I feel various things about various aspects of it. So I'm currently at the new and only local coffee shop in my town. So I think I'm actually going to go get my drink first, and then I will let you know all about how I felt about it. Okay, got my drink. Not this. This is a pup cup. Got my drink, got my pup cup. Cool bell. You want a pup cup? Look at that. Wow, girl. That's crazy. Here, baby. I think I want to start out with like the positive things because I think that there are a lot more positive things. I think that I just have like one kind of like bigger negative thing. But I finished it. I thought it was really good. Sorry if you can hear her licking in the background now. I did not think about that. So I really admire any author who wants to write about trauma and who does it in an informed way. So I loved hearing about her, just like the professionals that she consulted and like how much thought and effort she put into that. I think that that is amazing. And I think that there should be more of that. And I hope as time goes on, we get less books like The Clinic, you know, who just represents like mental illness and certain aspects of mental health in a really negative and untruthful way. You know, I hope we get more of stuff like this. So I love that. I also loved hearing about the like other characters from the other two books that were breadcrumbed into this book, or not breadcrumbed, but like cameoed, you know. I didn't know that it was like the third book in this series until I was adding it to my Goodreads, and I wondered as I was listening to it, like, I wonder which of these characters are like from the other books. So it's funny to hear her talk about that as well, and also just talk about like her kind of symbolism and stuff. I think was really cool. It was cool to see like how much like thought and effort went into the elements of the story, and I respect that a lot. I was definitely not listening to this book and thinking like, why was this published, you know? And that's always my thing, I guess, is just books that feel like that to me are just like not worth my time. So I do not feel that way about this book at all. I thought it was very good. It was hilarious. I thought it was well written. Definitely a positive reading experience. But I guess my criticism is it just like wasn't life-changing, and it doesn't have to be. For reference, I gave it 4 stars, and I gave Happy Place 4 stars. So it kind of like sits in that range for me. But like Funny Story, I gave 5 stars. So yeah, I think that there were just some emotional beats that weren't like being hit for me that made me not as invested, I guess, like in the relationship and everything. And I think what it really comes down to is the pacing. I think that it was such a long, giant storyline trying to be compacted into a very short amount of time, like in book time. And I think because of that, some things were just kind of rushed, and some of the emotional beats weren't hitting for me because of that. Overall, very positive read for me. I just feel like because of the pacing and stuff, it didn't hit for me, I guess, as hard as like other books have hit me, even like other books like this. So it's like, I don't really think that this is going to like stay with me, except for maybe the part with the drunk mom and Anne, because that I was laughing out loud. Overall though, glad I read it. Glad I branched out. I will definitely be interested in what that author does next, because I don't think she's like continuing this series, but we'll see. So I think I'm gonna go home and get cozy on the couch, and then I'll talk about the issue that has come up with my next book, the self-help book. Okay, friends, so I am home, and I've had a little hiccup with my self-help choice. I know I went on that whole spiel about how I was cheating, and it was not really self-help, and also I had to read it anyway, and blah, 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 blah. But that was all under the assumption that the book itself was going to be a couple bucks to buy the Kindle ebook version on Amazon, which I don't usually do. I don't like to do that. Usually I just borrow books from the library. But unfortunately, in this case, it is just taking so long to get this loan. So I figured I would just buy it until I saw that it was $15 for the ebook. In what world? Not in my world, no way. Instead, I always forget I have Kindle Unlimited. So I just went on there and I started scrolling just to find some kind of self-help book. I honestly had trouble finding something that wasn't like religious or that wasn't just not interesting to me at all. I ended up going with just this little self-help book called Mind Over Chatter, Achieve Mental Clarity and Emotional Health. 21 Ways to Overcome Overthinking and Enhance Mindfulness Practices in Everyday Life. And despite that incredibly long title, it's actually only like 161 pages, which is perfect. That I actually feel like that might make me like it more. Because like I said, with self-help, I usually just feel like they go on and on and on about what, you know? And in this case, I'm like, okay, well, it's only 161 pages, and I also know that there's at least 21 things this person's gonna be telling me. So even if at the end I get there and I'm like, yeah, this could have just been summed up in a bullet-pointed list, at least it's kind of a long bullet-pointed list of 21 different things, right? So I actually think that this is a great choice for something that might actually be engaging and useful. And full transparency, I did already start like the introduction chapters and stuff, and it's calling me out. I've been called out a couple times. Let me find a quote for you so you see what I'm talking about. So I did not really pick this thinking that like, oh, this is something that I need help with or anything like that. It was more just like, this is a good option for this video, honestly. But now I'm like, maybe this was great for me because I have, not to get like really deep into my lore right now, but I have been having an issue with like panic attacks now for like 8 months, and I've always had really severe anxiety. I have not ever dealt with panic attacks. I've had anxiety attacks and everything. I've been in the hospital with anxiety attacks, but it's kind of this all new thing for me where I'm having like legit panic attacks, and it has been really hard to get used to, and they suck. If you have them, you know that they suck. So when this book is talking about like, you know, spiraling into negative thoughts that kind of lead you into like thinking like, oh, I'm gonna die, and like you're panicking and stuff, it's kind of like taking control over that with these like mental tools. And I feel like that's exactly what I need actually at this stage in my life. I take Zoloft, but it's like, you know, that can only do so much, and I do need like strategies and to equip strategies that are going to actually help me. So I don't know, we'll see if this book can give me some good pieces of advice. I'm just gonna read you this like little paragraph, and I'll probably put it on the screen actually. What this means is that you might end up experiencing some very serious bodily symptoms that you don't realize are related to your anxiety. If you're unaware of just how impactful this is on your body, you might end up believing something is going on that is even worse on your body, creating a new issue to worry about. For example, if you are struggling with overthinking about work, it could lead to a stomach ache. Maybe you decide to skip a meal because you're in pain. Later that night, your pain is worse from being hungry. You go to bed on an empty stomach and wake feeling tired. Now, not only are you stressed about work, but you might begin to panic that something even more serious is going on. You then ruminate about all the potentials, believing you have a serious health condition, all because of a singular anxiety symptom. If that is not me on your average Tuesday morning, I don't know what is, okay? So this could be really good for me, is what I'm trying to say. I'm much more intrigued by this than I ever thought that I would be about a self-help book, to be honest. So I'm hoping we can go on this journey together. We can drink a little coffee, learn a couple little tips, right? And be our best 2025 selves. Let's see what we can accomplish with Mind Over Chatter, whose author I also did not name until this very moment. It is Sidney Neel. Sidney Neel, if you can give me some good tips, thank you. And we'll see. Ooh, okay, I just got done at the gym. I was gonna go to like a coffee shop nearby and do schoolwork and finish the self-help book that I'm reading. But honestly, I think I'm too tired. I think I just want to be at home on my couch with my dog to do schoolwork today. So, sorry, it will be a little more boring than seeing the cutesy little town and the cutesy little coffee shop. But I think I'm 70% of the way done with the self-help book, and it's good. I definitely don't feel like completely negatively about it, but I think it's definitely not proving me wrong in what I say about self-help books, which is really just that a lot of times the material that they have is not enough to spread out over a full book, and they end up just writing stuff that they don't need to write, and it makes it long and boring, and I can't do it. And this book is only like 160 pages, so this is also like a very short self-help book, and still I feel like there are certain things that the author is milking a little bit just to like write more words. I definitely think that there are some good tips in here. Actually, funny enough, the thing that I find most interesting, sorry, you're kind of shaky because I'm literally just holding you up. The thing that I really appreciate about this book is that a lot of these techniques about mindfulness and being more present in your own head have to do a lot with like grounding, and especially grounding in moments of like panic, you know what I mean? And I think that that truly actually is going to be quite useful for me. There's like a whole section about like mindful eating and just like eating something, like in moments when your mind is spiraling and everything, eating something and just focusing on what it is like to eat that thing. And I think that that could be something that's really useful for me. The other one that I really like is, of course, like there's like journaling, and she puts that, and I'm like, I roll my eyes, right? Because like every freaking thing says that, right? But I actually really liked the way that she went on to explain what that can mean, because it doesn't have to be just like, dear diary, da 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 da. She talks about how it can literally just be as simple as like having a document in your phone or on your laptop, and if you come across like a negative feeling that's causing you more negative feelings, just like write it down and get it out of your head. Like, I felt uncomfortable in this situation, or like I am frustrated with my partner because this, and just like putting it into a different space other than your head will potentially help you from kind of just like ruminating on that idea over and over again. So some really interesting stuff, but again, some of the sections are just like so long. Like, I feel like everybody who has anxiety or who's ever dealt with anxiety knows the trick of like, oh, name 5 things that you see, name 5 things you can touch, right? And that honestly has never really worked for me. I've never used that method. And she, like, in writing about it, she is like, you can see the this, the this, the this, this, and does that for every single thing. And I'm like, you did not have to write all that, girl. Like, we get the point. At this point, 70% through the book, I don't really think I'm going to be changing my mind on that, but we will see. Alright, friends, so I finished the self-help book. Yeah, I don't know, really not much more to say other than what I said in the last clip. I think that there were some really good techniques. There were other parts that it was like there were a lot of extra details, like explaining things that really didn't need to be explained and just kind of were there to like pad the book. And honestly, we got a little in the weeds of just like her being like, get creative, do a puzzle, or spend time with your family. And it's like, that's not very helpful, right? Like, I think that the strong points of the book were when she was talking about like grounding techniques and things to try when you're kind of on a negative spiral. And I think that is going to be really helpful for me. And there are genuinely like things that I'm going to try from that. But yeah, I think overall it definitely did not blow me away or really change my opinion of like self-help. Sorry, my dog is very cooped up today. It's snowy and gross out, so she hasn't been doing anything. Yeah, it doesn't really change my perspective about self-help books. It actually just kind of did exactly what I'm used to when it comes to self-help. So, you know, I'm glad I read it and got a couple little tidbits to try, like the journaling thing, like trying to kind of ground yourself by eating something, right? Or like something else I'm going to try is like, if I'm going to have a panic attack, like I think I'm going to try her tip that it's just like hold like an ice cube in your hand and just let it get cold and melt. I think that that could be helpful for me too. So yeah, I don't know, like some positive, some kind of expectedly negative. But I'm excited I have my book options here with my book of the month hat. My three options for the, yes, Poobell. Yes, you see that? For the fantasy book. I know which one I want it to be, but I'm still gonna do it this way. So let's see what I get. Faebound. That's the one that I wanted, actually. Slay. Okay, I'm so excited. I will be starting that promptly. Yeah, I don't know. I might, just because it's like a much longer book and like there's going to be more to talk about, I'll probably give you an update a little bit sooner than halfway just to see how I'm like feeling about it. But yes, I'm very excited. This is the one that I was most excited for. Okay, I will be diving into that probably tomorrow and I will let you know how it goes. Hello, friends. I am trying to film the conclusion to this video, but this is the love that I am subjected to whenever I try to sit on the ground. Okay, there you go. Oh, so I will not lie to you. It is a full week later to the day since I picked Faebound out of that hat. I had an insane week. Between school and work, I really could not find time to film. I did read the book. I was not finding moments in my day to kind of update you guys as I was going along, which is a shame because my opinion did change over the course of the book. So I think if you had caught up with me after I had read the first 50%, I would have been very, very positive. I already had like a couple things to point out, but it definitely went downhill from there, unfortunately. What's crazy is that I actually read 50% of this book in one day. I read the first couple pages, maybe a whole chapter in the evening after I picked it out of the hat, but the day after that, I literally read 50% of the book. I was so into it. I really liked how it opened up and was kind of like a military type fantasy, like there's war going on. Yirin, who is one of the main characters, is general and is getting promoted to something, colonel maybe? Yeah, colonel. I don't know a lot about all of that stuff, so it's like hard for me to remember. But I was really rocking with it when that's what was going on and that's what we were getting. I thought the world was really cool. The world building was really good. It all made sense. There was like actual world building, which I will always think is great. I will say that even at the beginning, there were some times that exposition would happen that I found to be a little bit clunky, for lack of a better word. And it honestly made me think that this book was a debut. And I'll always give grace, right? I will always give grace for a debut author. But come to find out, it's not a debut. I think that this author just kind of leans more into writing like YA, which also makes sense for some of the writing. That's unfortunately just not my jam. I really find that I don't connect with YA books anymore, unfortunately, because some of them have really cool premises, but in the past couple years, I just really have not had a lot of success with that. I really don't like kind of a YA novel masquerading as like a high adult fantasy, because I want a high adult fantasy. However, in the beginning, it was just little things. Then as the book goes on, it just really loses me, and I'm seeing loses a lot of people. It just kind of became very ill-conceived. It moves so incredibly fast. I know a lot of people point out the romance and how fast and instant both of the romances are, and how that makes you really not care about them at all, which is 100% true. That is 100% true. Both sisters' romances just happen so quickly and have such like stupid, non-existent conflict that just like delays them getting together a little bit, but you're like, dude, like, really though? And like they end up just getting together like really, really fast. So that was annoying. But I also will say that was not the only way in which this book was so quick, because they also like learn whole new magics in like less than 3 months. The 3 months that they're in like the Fae world, because that's the whole premise is, you know, they fall into this Fae world. I don't want to give like too many spoilers or anything, but you definitely know that just from reading the synopsis. But they learn like a whole new language. They learn like all this stuff, and I'm like, this is happening so quickly. And then really the last like big thing for me is, well, the plot was very predictable. Like I knew who was the bad guy and everything. It was not hard to figure out because of like the prophecies and all of that. But even bigger than that, something that I really don't like, that I find myself just not connecting with like as an adult reader, something that happens in YA and that unfortunately happened in this book, where it's like very much that kind of main character energy where like they have to like be special. And like in this book, definitely I'm sorry, Poopa, we will play in a minute. There were a lot of like, oh, she like can do this magic even though she's not supposed to. Like, she's so special. She can connect with this creature even though she's not supposed to be able to do that. She's so special. Oh, the magic like chose him even though like it shouldn't be able to do that. Oh, he's so special. And like, it's just exhausting to me, okay? I totally understand how that appeals to adolescent readers who are reading YA and are at the point in their lives where they are really making pivotal discoveries about their identity, right? And during a time of life where you are kind of so self-focused in a way, not in a negative way, but just in an effort to establish who you are. That is all like very normal and good development. It's not something that I want in my 20s, right? Like it just does not appeal to me. It just does not appeal to me. So that was really annoying me by the end of the book, because it was like the 4th time that something like that happened, and I just found myself like rolling my eyes, honestly, like by the end of the book, which is sad because I was so into it at first. So that is what I will have to say. The second half of this book was just ill-conceived. There were some strange choices made, and I don't know, a shame, truly. I will say that I am glad that I am not in a minority by saying this. This actually, unbeknownst to me, is kind of the general consensus about this book. It has majority 3 stars. It's like a 3.57 on Goodreads right now, and a lot of the reviews that I saw after the fact say the same thing that I'm saying. So I'm not really adding anything new, but that is how I felt as well. So I love that we can all resonate about that. I didn't hate it. I will definitely read the second one. I'm actually glad that I put it off this long, because the second one comes out next month. So I will be reading that. I'm curious to see if that one will be better. I guess we're gonna find out together. But yeah, I think that kind of concludes my thoughts about these 3 books. Thank you for sticking with me if you've been here this long, if you were on my journey with me as I read these 3 different books. If you want to like, subscribe, any of that stuff, you can always connect with me on my social medias in the description. They are always there. I'm trying and failing to get on Instagram more, but it's fine. Yeah, I hope I will see you again. Tune in next month. I'm hoping actually to have my Goodreads video out next month in February. So, yeah, I think that is all for this. I liked doing the reading vlog style, so let me know if you want to see that some more. And I think I will see you next time. Bye.